Welcome to Stuff Works Explained. If you are here for the first time, please consider subscribing to this channel. Also, hit the notification bell so that when you upload a new video, you are notified. In this video, we'll be talking about the stalled Project Oil Kenya project. For the last 3 or so years, not much progress has been made in Project Oil Kenya. The withdrawal of Tullow Oil's partners, Total Energies and African Oil, along with difficulties in securing a strategic investor and the reduction of Tullow's oil field development plan by Kenyan government, all these have been the only major events in this period. Unfortunately, none of these developments indicate positive momentum towards Kenya's long-awaited oil production, despite the oil discovery nearly 13 years ago. One would have expected by now that the country would be on the verge of commercial production. However, that is not happening, and from all signs, it is unlikely to happen anytime soon. The recent development, though somewhat unclear as to why they are emerging at this moment, when the projects appear to be stalled, offer a glimmer of hope. A crucial step towards commercial oil production is the development of essential infrastructure such as central processing facilities and crude oil pipeline, which is planned to run from Turkana to Lamu. In this regard, the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum has advertised a bid calling for consultants to submit their plans for the resettlement and livelihood restoration framework, and this to address the displacement of people who will be affected by the oil and gas project, specifically the crude oil pipeline. The objective of this framework is to establish principles and procedures for resettlement and compensation, address physical and economic displacement caused by oil and gas project, ensure fair compensation and sustainable livelihood restoration for affected communities. It will also apply primarily to upstream and midstream projects, particularly the crude oil pipeline. Why does this matter? One is the protection of affected community to ensure that the displaced people are fairly compensated and supported with alternative livelihood. Sustainable development, where aligns Kenya's oil sector with international best practices for responsible resource extraction. It's also for regulatory compliance, where it meets environmental and social impact regulation necessary for the Kenya to attract credible investors and financiers. Why is the government doing this now? Given that the project has almost stalled, there is not much happening, so why is the government doing it now? Despite the apparent stalling of the Project Oil Kenya, the government's move to initiate the resettlement and livelihood restoration framework suggests that there is still some potential in the project. Possible reasons for this renewed focus may include maintaining investor interest while major partners have exited. Showing regulatory preparedness would attract new investors. It's also for strategic positioning, where the framework aligns with Kenya's broader plan for economic transformation through energy and infrastructure. It's also for regional competition. Kenya's oil ambitions have been overshadowed by Uganda's success in progressing in its own project. It's also for international pressure and funding conditions. The government might be responding to demands from financial institutions requiring the settlement policies before funding infrastructure project. So what lesson can Kenya learn from Uganda's oil project? Uganda's oil project, spearheaded by Total Energies, China's CNOOC, is progressing significantly well. The crude oil pipeline EACOP, which connects Uganda's oil fields to Tanzania Tanga port, is already on course. There has been substantial investment commitments from international oil firms. There is government support, and this has streamlined the approval process, unlike Kenya where there are delays in regulatory approval. So Kenya can take some lessons from Uganda's progress, particularly in securing strong international partnership, expediting regulatory frameworks, and also ensuring that there is policy certainty. So what should Kenya do to kickstart the stalled project? One, it can reevaluate investment strategy. Kenya should actively seek new serious investors beyond Tullow, particularly firms with a track record of success in Africa oil project. This means engaging with international players such as ExxonMobil, Chevron, or national oil companies from China and Middle East, which have financial capability and expertise to handle large-scale oil development. The government must also improve its investment climate to make the sector more attractive to these players. Government can also offer some incentives. To attract investors, Kenya should consider offering tax breaks, production sharing agreements, PSA, and flexible licensing terms. This could involve lowering royalties, corporate taxes for early investors, guaranteeing repatriation of profits, and ensuring investor-friendly dispute resolution mechanism. The government could also create a special fund to support upstream oil development, reduce risk for private investors. It can also improve regulatory efficiency. The rejection of Tallow Oil Field Development Plan by EPRA highlighted inefficiencies in regulatory process. Kenya must have to streamline approvals by setting clear time-bound decision-making process. A one-stop regulatory authority for oil sector could be established to reduce bureaucratic delays and create more predictable investment environment. Additionally, updating Kenya Petroleum Act to align with best goal or global practices will provide greater confidence to investors. Regional collaboration. Instead of solely relying on Turkana pipeline, Kenya should explore potential synergies with Uganda's East African crude oil pipeline. By connecting its oil field to these regional pipelines, Kenya could reduce infrastructure costs and also expedite production. A joint venture with Uganda and Tanzania would also attract more financing options, including multilateral institutions like African Development Bank or China Belt Road Initiative. Another one is infrastructure development. The Turkana region lacks basic infrastructure, which hinders production efforts. The government must prioritize on this area, building roads, water supply systems, power generation, and security in this area. Building an oil refinery closer to the oil field could also be considered to add value before export. Furthermore, integrating local content policies will ensure that Kenya business and workers benefit from the project, creating positive economic spillover. What role should tallow oil play? Tallow oil remains the sole operator in Kenya's oil project. However, its financial struggles raise concerns about whether it can single-handedly deliver commercial production. If tallow oil cannot attract a strategic partner, the government should consider releasing the blocks to the other international interested investors, inviting state-backed companies, particularly from China or Middle East, to co-invest, pushing tallow to expedite the field development plan revision to meet regulatory requirements. Or should Kenya abandon this project altogether? There has been argument that Kenya should cut its losses and abandon the oil project altogether. However, abandoning the project would come with serious repercussions. One is financial loss. Kenya has already invested billions in exploration and infrastructure planning, so all this will go to waste. Geopolitical and strategic disadvantage, where oil remains a crucial global resource and Kenya will lose its standing as a potential producer. Then there is lost economic opportunities, job creation, revenue generation, and energy security would suffer as a result of abandoning this project. Nevertheless, there are legitimate concerns about environmental impacts, which, especially given the global shift away from the fossil fuels, Kenya must carefully balance its economic aspiration with the environmental sustainability by ensuring strict environmental regulations and investing in renewable energy alongside oil production. In conclusion, we can say that while Project Oil Kenya has faced significant setbacks, it's premature to abandoning it. The government moves to initiate the settlement and livelihood restoration framework, signals an effort to keep the project alive. However, for commercial production to commence, Kenya must attract serious investors, resolve regulatory inefficiencies, and explore regional cooperation. So thank you for reaching this far. Let's get your thoughts about this, and also you can watch other videos that we made on different topics, especially on the oil project. Thank you.